Hello again and welcome back to the Mighty Dashes Transcontinental, Transoceanic, Global World Domination Tour. And of course, what better way to go around the world than on Pan Am? Now, we are at New York's Kennedy Airport, and what you're looking at, believe it or not, is very special. A lot of people out there probably knew this as Delta Airlines Terminal Number 3. That ugly thing right down there is Delta's Terminal Number 2. And just behind us here, if we pull back a little bit, below us, is Delta's new Terminal Number 4. But before it was all of that, this was Braniff. This didn't exist. This was the old International Arrivals building, which had some of the coolest jetways around. And this was Pan Am's WorldPort, is what they called it. And these not especially lovely gates here were built in the 70s to accommodate 747s. You can see the dual jetways here to expedite boarding. And this whole thing right here was built in a period of enormous expansion for Pan Am. This down here, though, which a lot of you remember as Delta Terminal 3, and a lot of you remember as an absolute and utter dump, is now demolished along with this, and soon, one hopes, along with this. But at the moment, this is just tarmac. It's parking, spare parking for Delta airliners for the most part. I wanted to bring you a flight from here because once upon a time, this was neither blank tarmac, nor demolition site, nor a decaying dump. This was really, this was Jet Set Central. This was where the jet age began. And because there's a YouTube clip of just about anything you want out there, somebody managed to dig up an old Pan Am promotional film for this new terminal. And the outfit is Periscope Films. They seem to own the rights to it. I am using it as fair use here for non-commercial educational purposes. So if the YouTube legal trolls decide to squawk, this is entirely fair use, and nobody's making a dime off of this, and nobody's advertising anything. This is purely for educational purposes. First, I want to show you the beginning of the documentary where they lay out just how crappy terminals and airline travel was before the WorldPort. So with that, take a look. So this is crappy Airport Central here. There's your harried dad. There's the dumpy entrance. There's the confusing ticketing positions. There's the tedious line. Oh, and he's waiting. And he's late. Oh my God. It's funny how familiar this looks. It's like we've come full circle. He looks like Darren on Bewitched, just after his boss invites himself over for dinner with a new client. Oh, poor Darren. Okay, so he goes running down the dumpy hallway. I believe that's Les Paul on guitar. And there he is. Oh, that is hideous. Okay, so that's what this was meant to replace. Now, check this out.
Today, in this astral age,
Oh yeah.
jet wings journey into night, further and faster than the mind of man once could imagine. In all seasons, in all weathers, jet wings streak through thin skies to carry the traveler to his easy destination.
And wait till you see it.
Journey's end, or the immense beginning of 1,000 private adventures.
Can you believe anybody would be so relaxed going to Kennedy Airport? And now, look at this. He's got a family, too. Little valet parking. Glamorous wife. Respectable father-in-law. And this used to be the dump known as Terminal 3. Junior wants to run off. Oh, that's okay. He'll be all right. As long as he's got his yellow balloon. Little Emily there, she doesn't, she's got no clue. She's going to sleep through the whole flight. They got new luggage for the trip, too. Yeah, come on, Junior, hop on board. Never a line at the WorldPort. And your seats are waiting for you. Well, you get the idea. Junior gets into all kinds of trouble, loses his balloon, gets his balloon back, and they're just making their way out to the airplane now. A little bamboo to lend some tranquility. Little Zen mood. Some mid-century modern furniture. The poured concrete looks good. Oh, onward and upward. I'm not going to mock this. This was me. That was me back then. I probably would have pitched a fit, but yeah, it was definitely me. Oh, she needs another drink. There you go. Oh. See how cynical I was? I thought she needed another martini when in fact she misplaced her infant daughter. So anyway, this is how you used to board, under that roof right there. Safe from the elements. There you are. That's beautiful Pan Am Clipper. And, well, that's the happiest divorce ever, isn't it? Look at that. That is an amicable separation. And that is a 707. And it is taxiing down the same taxiway we are going to. Only instead of going off a 31 left, like it went right there. Oh, look at that.
Terminal, journey's end, or the immense beginning of 1,000 adventures.
Oh, very cool.
In all seasons, in all weathers, jet wings guide the traveler to the private place of his destiny and hope.
Of course, Junior went on to join the Weather Underground and nearly blew himself up making bombs in a townhouse in the village. But you know, that was years later. And years later, the WorldPort is no more. But snarky comments aside, I remember going to pick up my uncle here, who was arriving from someplace exotic on Pan Am. I went with my mom, and we drove out to Kennedy from Yonkers, New York, and it was way cool. So I'm not going to mock too much more, but here is the Mighty Dash, and there's the old WorldPort, and that is where you used to just walk across on a little bridge to the 707 parked underneath. It's a pretty cool idea, come to think of it. And that's where the 747s park, because they couldn't get themselves under there. And now all of it is just parking space. So anyway, we are going to depart on the Merit 5 departure. We're going to Boston. And it's going to be a short flight. Let me show you our route here. Oh, it's all tied up in knots. I don't have a route. So that's the approach into Boston. There we go. There's the Merit 4. And we are going to fly to Merritt, and then we are almost immediately going to get onto the Roebuck 1 arrival. And actually, if we weren't taking off from Kennedy, the Roebuck 1 arrival to Boston can begin as soon as Kennedy. That's one of the transitions. Instead, we are going to fly from Merritt to Gigty, and then we're going to come on in that way. And because of some viewer requests, I want to try and demonstrate a little bit of the HUD for people in a more explicit way than just the incidental way I've been doing it. So what we're going to do is, I've already shown how to use the HUD for an instrument arrival. And I'm going to try to demonstrate it for a visual arrival, because it actually has its uses for that as well. So, just dinking with it right here. So we will try to sort of begin our arrival on instruments probably, but if the weather is good enough, I'll show you why a HUD is just as useful in visual conditions. So let's first get our weather conditions. It's 30 at 10, 30.10, what am I saying? This, by the way, is Prepared 3.1, and this is a new version of the Mighty Dash. It's a new beta version of the Pro. And you know what? I've got the wrong weather here, which is why my field elevation was showing up as -20. It's a useful cross-check. Whenever you set your altimeter, also check your airfield elevation. If it doesn't match what it should be, like you see it doesn't right there, that means you've screwed the pooch. And so watch what happens. Our airfield elevation here is about, about 10, 20 feet. So as we move that up to 3013, which is where it should be, now our airfield elevation checks. So other than that, our auto feather is on. Let's set our trims. That beeping, if you're new to the dash, is when you hold down the trim. That's your trim travel indication. Squawk IFR instead of VFR at the moment. And we'll set a rudder trim of 10 right, which is about correct, and set takeoff flaps. We've already set our V speeds. We've already set our course, and we're going to set an initial altitude of 5,000 because that is the max until cleared on the SID. The SID departing from the runway we're departing from is basically just runway heading and then vectors until cleared direct to Merritt, and to expect 5,000 until 10 minutes after departure, although we'll probably be cleared higher, as they say in New York, forthwith. So let's make ourselves our way out to runway 13 right, whence we'll depart, as they say on the charts. And I've also been asked to say a word about my graphics settings. So I'll say a word about my graphics settings. They are 30 frames per second, VSync on. I've got my monitor also set for 30, and I've got most of my sliders pretty high up, but I don't have building shadows and cloud shadows on, nor do I have any reflections. So it is relatively hard on frames, but it's not impossible. And we're flying at 4K resolution. I'm not using NVIDIA Inspector, and I'm not setting any smart grid super sampling, although I'd like to, because it gets rid of some of the sparklies, but it is exceedingly heavy on frames, especially in clouds. I'm running a single NVIDIA GTX 980 Ti, and it's pretty good for almost everything. But when you start hitting clouds and you have to render stuff in multiple passes, probably an extra GPU would come in handy. So I'm just saving up for that. As we make our way out to runway 13 right. Here on, what are we on, Bravo? There are concentric taxiways here at Kennedy, and I never remember which one is Alpha and which one is Bravo, and which one is Papa and which one is Quebec. And I believe we can take this outer one, but I really should know a little bit better than that. Oh wait, we're on Mike is where we are. You know what? Why be stupid when you can just look? The biggest mistake I always make, and a lot of virtual pilots make, is not considering the fact that they might not know crap. And I don't know crap. I should know better. It's almost my home airport. But I get lost on the way here, so it's only understandable that I probably get lost here as well. All right, so we are on Quebec, and we're going to take that to Papa Foxtrot. And I haven't been listening to Kennedy Ground lately, so I'm not sure which way they prefer to taxi people out to this runway for takeoff, or whether they stack them up on Papa and Quebec. Because they get big traffic jams here at rush hour in the early evening, when all the transatlantic flights start to depart. Did I mention this is a long taxiway and a very long runway? This is, I think, the third longest runway in the country. I know it's the longest, I think it's the longest commercial runway outside of Denver. And then, of course, there's the Space Shuttle landing strip down just outside Cape Canaveral, which is 17,000 feet. This is 14.5. And as you'll see when we get there, it's got a whopping displaced threshold. Matter of fact, if we were light, we might even expect being airborne before the piano keys. Okay, there's Papa Charlie. Yeah, we are on Quebec, okay. And there's Papa Delta. And we're looking for Papa Foxtrot. There's Papa Echo, where they often do intersection shortened departures. But we're going to use the whole damn thing. We're going to pretend we're a heavily loaded Pan Am 707. This is FS Dream Team's Kennedy, and even though there are parts of it that are a little bit outdated, like, of course, the Pan Am WorldPort, it's rather good, and it's very easy on frame rates, so could not be happier there. Okay, that all checks. Runway heading set. Bleeds are on min. Taxi lights can come off. Landing lights can come on. Anti-collisions can go to white. Heats are on. Bus ties off. APU is off. Takeoff warning. And that is enunciating because my gust lock is on. Now let's see. And now it's just enunciating because it sometimes does that. We've set takeoff flaps. Let me just walk back my trim a little bit and see whether that changes things. And we'll try that again, but I will bet you it's going to beep again. No. Okay, good. All right, clean living. Clean living. So we're going to turn on to 13 right here. And as you can see, the pappies for landing are about 3,500 feet ahead of us. So we've been told to line up and wait. We're going to put ourselves in heading select mode. Our heading checks out. Auto feathers on. All our pumps are on. Caution lights are dark. And we are going to hop up there into the murk. Takeoff power set. Airspeed's alive. And as you can see, there's the beginning of our runway, and there's the end of our takeoff roll. So, positive rate. We've been told to fly runway heading and contact departure, which I believe here is 1.135.9. I'd have to check. And we'll say over to departure, 135.9. Thanks a lot. And we'll bring up our flaps. And we're now 1,000 above. And we'll say Clipper, say departure, Clipper 125, 1600, Merit 4 for 5,000, and departure will say Clipper 125, climb and maintain 7,000, left heading 071, and we'll read back. Left 071, climb maintain 7,000, Clipper 125. we will have spun our heading bug around. We'll spin our altitude up to 7. We'll cap it with an alt cell. We will now fly the assigned heading. And we will get a call from ATC, and ATC will say Clipper 125, climb and maintain 15,000, cleared direct merit. And we'll read back, direct merit, climb and maintain 15,000, Clipper 125. So we'll do it. So first thing we'll do is we will put ourselves in not that mode, put ourselves in IAS mode, and dial back the speed there. We will turn ourselves towards merit first before we do anything with the FMS to make it so. We'll pitch for a little bit of speed. We'll spin our altitude bug up to 15,000. We'll cap it with an alt cell. We'll turn on IAS, and there we go, and we will spin our heading bug around and put in the autopilot. That's going to turn us to our heading. Turn us to our course. And then what we're going to do is now pop into the FMS and see we are already direct merit, so we can at this point just pop ourselves into nav mode and it will take us there. We'll look out for icing, and now that we're out of the enervating grip of departure control, we will turn off our auto feather and turn our bleeds to normal. We're going to come through 10. We'll turn off our lights. And we're going to monitor our acquisition of our course here on the way to merit. And as suspected, picked up some ice. On come the boots. On come the heaters. And it is totally anomalously showing a snow-covered New York, and of course we're nowhere near that. And at this point, we've been handed over to New York Center, and we've been cleared up to 230. So up comes the bug. Here comes IAS. And we do appear to be turning our way towards merit, which is good. There's 230, confirm alt cell. Our engine performance is nominal. Let's check and see our pressurization. If it's good, it is. Cabin altitude is climbing, but the differential is fine. We can turn off the fasten seatbelt signs. And that's Merritt right there. Check our caution panel. Determine it is Glot kosher. And I think what I'm going to do... No, you know what? We'll keep the... I was going to turn our textures to something more spring-like, because it's certainly spring-like here, all up and down the northeast. That is the Connecticut Turnpike down there. And I believe that is the mighty Housatonic River. Yep. And that's Westchester Airport right there. That's where my Uncle Ralph learned how to fly. And in the meantime, we'll try and get above this crap. As we do that, I'll give us a little weather radar here so we can get better acquainted with the elements. Put it on the first officer's side. And the other thing is, out of common courtesy to her, we will cross-fill her FMS, because that was terribly rude. There we go. Okay, so we're heading to Merritt. Let's see if we got any ice up here on our little windshield. Yes, hey look, see? I keep harping about this, but the easiest way to tell whether you've got ice on your airframe is by looking at this little bit of hardware where the windshield wiper mounts, because it builds up ice before almost anything else, and of course it doesn't get de-iced. So the best way to determine if you're in icing conditions is not to look at that light, but to look at this. When it's really bad, it will ice completely over, and you'll even see a layer of ice on the wipers and the wiper arms. But that's a quick little trick to figure out how bad the icing is, and it's also very cool that it was modeled. It's very nicely done. So we're making our way up to 230, and what I forgot to do when we crossed 180 was set standard altimeter. So I'll rectify that now. You'll forgive me, I'm battling the true gift of the Christmas season, and that is after being together with friends and relatives, you get their viruses, and I've got something. All right, so we're 1,000 to go, which means we can bring our props back to 850. Quiet things down for the passengers. Some airlines have different SOPs. Some airlines climb at 850 above a certain altitude. Others climb at 900 the whole way. Others climb at maximum props for a chunk of the time. And I'm sure the calculations have to do with probably a little bit of fuel burn, and a bit of passenger comfort, and a bit of tradition, and who knows what else. I do know that if you Google it, and I don't know if you can get it directly from Bombardier's site, but there is the full sort of set of guidelines for different type climbs in the dash. Maximum economy climbs, maximum rate, maximum angle. different strategies for getting up and getting down depending on how long in the cruise you are that save the most fuel or use the least amount of take the least amount of time. And there's a lot of sort of very sophisticated research that went into it. And if you're an airline and you're paying however many dollars you are for every pound of jet fuel, you'll want to pay attention to that. So it is it fills, I don't know, about 20, 30 pages of this particular document. So it's the sort of thing that on a more sophisticated FMS and aircraft would essentially be the makings of cost index. How fast you cruise, how fast you climb, what rate of climb, what kind of D-rate you use, and all the rest of that, what your cruise power is. And all that gets rolled into one number that a pilot or a dispatcher can simply use and look up, but doesn't have to do all the minute calculations that would go into it. Is basically what it is. It's basically a black box number. And in fact, I think cost indexes or cost indices are largely proprietary. You come up with a certain number, but what goes into it and what you think you're saving from it, I think all those things are sort of closely held secrets. Boeing knows, the airlines know, but one airline doesn't know from another, why this cost index, why that, or maybe they do. I'm not entirely sure. It could be that the proprietariness is between aircraft makers and not users of an individual airframe. Somebody can enlighten me, I'm sure. We're coming up on the Connecticut River over there, and Hartford is off to our left. Is Hartford off to our left? I know that's New Haven down there. I think so, but I could have my Connecticut and Housatonic mixed up. You know how painful that can be. I could use a Housatonic right about now. Well, Housatonic with Bombay Dry Gin. So the beginning of our descent will be Gig T coming up right there. And some of these names will be familiar. Cran, I don't know. Judy, I don't know. Kleb, I don't. But there's Patrick, probably for Kennedy. There's Witch because it's near Salem. And a lot of the departures are named after Red Sox and New England Patriots, but I wonder if that has anything to do with Ethel Kennedy. Merritt, I am guessing, has something to do with the Merritt Parkway, which goes right underneath it, so that's a possible. Yeah, that is the Connecticut River. Can't be anything else. And because this is prepared 3.1, those things sticking out of the ground actually are radio towers and not terrain spikes as we've been getting in 3.0. That's been a big improvement. And I think the performance is a little bit better, but it could be the placebo effect. So let's plan our arrival here. We want to go to VNAV, go to Banky at 16,000. So Banky 16,000. No, I don't want to descend that quickly. I mean that slowly. Let's see what that gets us. 255. Let's do 2,000 feet per minute. Let's get sporty here. That's still only a 2.8 degree glide path. Alright, that looks about reasonable. So we are almost at top of descent. We'll seat the passengers. We'll keep our ice protection on because we're going to be going back through the same crap that built up ice in the first place. And we'll set our first constraint, which is 16. In Europe, that would be flight level 160, but here the flight levels end at 180. Not saying that's right or wrong, that's just different. And here comes our VNAV path already. Captured it. Roll back the power a bit because we're pretty close to the barber pole anyway. And we're going to come right over Providence here. And we're going to essentially fly right past the airport to the east. And with any luck, we'll do a visual approach so that we can, I can show you the visual features of the HUD. Meantime, let's get our runway information programmed into the HUD, although we're not going to really need it for using it visually, but just in case. 8806 and 16. So, pop that in. .8806, enter, and elevation 16. Done and done. Now, right now for the HUD, I've got it set up as the primary display, and the primary display, now first of all, you'll notice HUD 101 here, and it baffled me for a while. If you have a normal view, so that you've got your black balls right here, normal field of view and zoom, you will not be able to see the whole HUD. You'll have to get closer. You'll still want it lined up so that you're black balled, so to speak. In a second we'll set local altimeter. But you need to be closer so you can see the whole thing. So just for 1 second, I'm going to pop that into standby. I'm going to set our local altimeter, which is 3010. holding out some hope. The forecast is scattered clouds down where we're going, but we'll see. So, anyway, okay. Just slow us down a bit more. Anyway, what the HUD shows, that's in VMC, so we will move it over, there we go, to primary display, and that shows us the normal speed tape, the normal altitude tape, and that is going to capture our altitude, but let's go into keep us on VNAV path here, so we'll spin this down to our next constraint. Keep us in VNAV path. Anyway, this is our vertical deviation. It'll either show as glide slope or as VNAV path. This is our 3 degrees down, and this is going to be important when we use this HUD visually, because what we're going to do, since we know we want to fly a 3-degree glide path, in instrument mode, we would put our flight path vector right smack on this. We would line up our 2 meatballs, which would mean that our nav aids are aligned, as it were, as we go over Providence Airport. In other words, this is the equivalent of our flight director needle being centered. We would let the nose come up where the nose should go at the speed we're at, and the vector would be on the 3-degree down, and we'd be flying the glide slope on in. Now, oh, I see some terrain spikes. You can do exactly the same thing in visual mode, only it doesn't, of course, know where you want to go. You don't have the guidance from your nav aid. As we go down again, however, if you put this dotted line on the visual spot where you do want to go, and if you then put the flight path vector on that dotted line, it will fly you down on a 3-degree glide path down towards the runway in visual conditions. And it's very useful if your runway doesn't have a PAPI. So what you do is you put the dotted line on the touchdown zone, then you put the little airplane on the dotted line, and before you know it, Bob's your mother's brother, and you're set. Now, why we're above glide path like this, I can't begin to tell you. We seem to be going down at 4,000 feet per minute. And we are over speeding, so we will disconnect the autopilot, bring our nose up because the airplane's not doing what we want it to do, and we will follow the VNAV path manually, because why not? So we'll put ourselves back into VNAV path mode. And you can see that little adventure put us below the proper altitude. So let's just fix that. When in doubt, drop down a level of automation. If the airplane isn't doing what you want to do, make it. Alright, so we're going to Gonna level ourselves out here, and actually let's see where we should be. So going to pop us into altitude hold mode, pop in the autopilot, let it fly us laterally the way we should. It's gonna bring our speed down. I'm just gonna check. We will arm our approach. And we will check our flight plan. We're on our way to Cran. We should be above 13,000, and then Ainsley we can come down to 8. So we are already vertically deviated, shall we say. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spin our altitude down to 8 for the next time we use it. And apologize profusely to ATC. Hope I don't have to fill out a whole lot of paperwork or do a little carpet dance in the chief pilot's office. I probably programmed in our descent profile wrong, but I can't at the moment see how. But anyway, because we're below 10, let's put on our lights. And you can see right now it shows we're below our profile, which actually is correct now. And we're going to fly our way out to Ethan, and then we're going to fly back west. See, now it is inexplicably, alright, showing us below our profile. Now we can go down. And I'm just going to fly this manually the rest of the way, because why not? Manage altitudes myself. So we need to be 8,000 by Ainsley. We'll be a little high. And our flight director is reading high, which is not true. As we come up on Ainsley, a little bit high. It's okay. And we seem to have reacquired our VNAV path. I see we can't come down below 8,000 until Cradle. Trim ourselves out a little bit. That'll always help. And we'll turn our pumps and such on. They are already on. We'll turn our bleeds to min. We're okay on speed, and we're going to level off in 1 second. And I'm going to spin our altitude bug down. Actually, for the moment, what I'm going to do is pop us into autopilot so I can set our V speeds and set our decision height, which is 200. We're flying the RNAV approach into 22 left. Let our spleed bleed a little bit. Alright, there we go. We will set up for a reduced noise profile landing. And check to see our approach is armed. It is. Spin our altitude bug. Down to our decision height. Recheck our flight plan. Kleb, Ethan, Patrick, Talwich, Noli, on to the approach. Tweak our V-speed here so that I get a V-app that's correct. Give myself a 5-knot additive. Everything else is good except for gear. Bleeds are to min. Props are correct. Ice protection remains on. And that is our approach right there. Alright, we're going down next to 5,000. And, well, let's do it on the HUD. Oops. 0, 5. There we go. Now that's our visual HUD, and that's our primary HUD. So if the weather gets good, we'll switch to our visual HUD. And again, what we'll do is we'll put this index on the touchdown zone, and we'll put this plane on that index. And with any luck, that'll get us there. But for the moment, I want all my guidance here. I want to be able to see my HSI and all the rest, so... And you can see we're deviated a lot from, we're crabbed a lot. Our track is this way, and that is because there's a 28 knot crosswind. We're descending at 1,000 feet per minute. That is our energy vector. When it goes up, that means our energy is climbing. When it goes down, it is falling. Very useful. Sync up our heading bug. Our heading bug is up here and down there. And let's pull a little bit of power so we don't bust any speeds. We've already busted an altitude, so... Okay, there's Ethan. And let us just pretend ATC is being kind to us and clear us direct to Tall. No, you know what? I can't read those. I'm not sure which one is which here. So I'll avoid doing something that will put us into trouble. Had enough trouble for this flight. We may be flying a Pan Am livery, but I am not a Pan Am sky god. And pick up a little bit of bumpies. The wind is only supposed to be about 3 or 4 knots from, I think, about 240, so it ain't a biggie. So around we go. It gives us distance to our next waypoint. It does not give us the name of the next waypoint. There's only so much you can put on the display. By the way, you can also set your display into standby mode, so if you for a moment don't want to see any of the stuff, you can just go like this. It goes away. Hit it again, comes back. I've got these programmed to some buttons on my joystick, so I can do this all basically just at my fingertips. Now, take a look at our energy vector. Watch what happens when I jam the power levers forward a bit. See how that rises? And if I roll off them, see how it falls? When we get into an approach mode, it will look at our V-speeds, and then it will pop up a bar to show us how much above or below we are from our V-app. So that's another little thing it can do. It'll look right at this speed, and if we're significantly higher than it, you'll see a big tall bar coming out of here, and if we're below it, you'll see a bar coming out of there. Also, just to give you a good look here, this is P3D 3.1. That is water animation and waves that actually go with the wind. So it is pretty cool. Alright, here we come. Let me just scale up a little bit. Maybe I can give us... Yes, let's go direct tall. So we'll ask nicely of ATC, can we do direct tall? And they'll say, sure, we love you. DTO for direct. And my power levers burp for no reason whatsoever. And there we go. Direct to tall. Because we're getting a little bit of the scenic route here. Matter of fact, when we get to tall, we'll request direct noli. It's a better intercept, and it's shorter. So I think we might be able to demonstrate the visual feature of this. It'll be my first time using it, so we'll see how well it works. But again, it's very useful at night, and it is useful on runways that don't have PAPIs or VASI. Now, when I make the transition over to the decluttered HUD, I wonder whether I'm also going to have to cancel my instrument navigation. Whether I'm going to have to put my autopilot in standby mode. Because now when I flip over, okay, now it says VMC. I'll bet you I will still get guidance here, meatball guidance, dual ball guidance, if I'm still in flight director mode, because this is the surrogate for the flight director. Little things to discover. Things I really, be perfectly honest with you, I am, well, I suppose knowledgeably ignorant. A little bit of knowledge, of course, is a dangerous thing. And I've got a little bit of knowledge. Alright, as soon as we get about halfway to which, we'll go direct Noli. Although it will start turning us before here anyway. It'll turn us when we're, so that essentially we'll swing by at a beam of the station. In the meantime, let's slow ourselves to 200. Alright, so we're already turning towards Dolly, so that is done and done. Yeah, so here we go. And it should start descending us as well. If not, we got plenty of time to fix it. That pauses the scenery loading, I'm sure. It is. Now we should be descending here. If not, we'll just do it ourselves again. There we go. No, yes, yes, no. Doesn't seem to think we need to yet. It is my considered opinion, though, that it's wrong. Yep, we gotta be at 4,000 at Noli. So let us start coming down. next restriction is 3,000 at Wayne. Oh, there's our top of descent. Oh, who the hell knows? Maybe it knows something we don't. Dashes do the damnedest things. Well, we'll just fly the VNAV path. Probably because I've programmed in a rather precipitous rate of descent. Is probably what's got it flummoxed, and that's entirely my fault. But we're on the approach. Now I'm just going to wait till I get the runway in sight, and then we will play around with the HUD. I'm just bleeding off some speed here. The flight director is all over the place. Put in our first notch of flaps. Get ourselves on a reasonable 3-degree glide path, so I'll put our wings right there. Notice how our energy vector is down below our wings. Just get ourselves fixed laterally, though, if nothing else. And we'll bring in our next 2 notches of flaps. Alright, and there you see how our speed bar there is high. Final notch of flaps with the outer marker. And we are more or less where we want to be. But now, here, let me show you our little visual trick. So, let's put this into visual mode, standby. That gets rid of our guidance. Of course, I can't see the runway. Let's maneuver so we can see the runway. Oh, there's the runway. Okay. So, we're going to put our 3-degree bar on the touchdown zone, like so. And now we're going to put our flight path vector on the bar. Only we're going too fast. Bleed off some speed. 1,000. Bleed off some more speed. Okay, so the bar is where we want to land. And we'll put the plane over the bar. More or less. So climb up the nose, there we go. Off comes some speed. And again, the airplane is right on that bar. And it's a little cluttered, but that's how you use it. Okay, there. That's right. Okay, so the bar is over the touchdown zone, and the airplane, the flight path vector is over the bar.
Plus 100.
Okay, and we're at our V app, and you notice how the vertical bar is, we're landing. See how they're all lined up? Okay.
100. 50, 40,
And it's
30,
telling me to flare now.
20, 10.
And there we are. So a little bit rocky, but that is essentially how you use the HUD in a visual capacity. And let's get off this runway because we are overdue for a bone-dry martini after a dog's breakfast of an arrival like that. But first time out doing it. Welcome to Logan. From here we're going to go to Montreal, and then from Montreal to Halifax and on across the Atlantic. Hope everybody enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of it. And hope everybody's having a good Christmas, good holiday. Looking forward to the new year. Until then, see you soon.